coming today. You're in for an awesome day. If you've never been to one of Jim's seminars, you're in luck because he comes highly recommended. Help me in welcoming Jim.
Thank you for that generous introduction. All right, thank you, Aaron. Good morning. How are you so far this morning? Well, we are about to embark on a discussion called the Layperson's Short Course on Applied Personnel Law. And how many of you know that the law in and of itself can be a subject that is as dry as the Sahara Desert? Now, we are not going to do that to you today, and in fact, I can't teach law because I'm not an attorney. What I can do is teach you the application of the law, where the rubber meets the road, where best practice meets everyday operations, everyday situations, and give you a sense of how best practice makes sense. We laugh, and it does seem sometimes like the legal profession is the last politically correct venue for jokes in this country, and it does seem sometimes like 97% of attorneys give the other 3% a bad name. And yet, the legal profession is the way we create positive social change in this country. It is the way we do things. What we did not do back in 1964 is pass a law that said starting tomorrow, everybody in the country has to treat each other nice. What we did do is create a system of statutes, a system of legal codices that created fines and penalties which impacted businesses. And based on that penalty structure, business behavior began to change, albeit aided and abetted by sitcoms and movies and other representational vehicles that allowed ourselves to see each other differently. And yet the net effect from 1964 until now is rather remarkable compared to the annals of history. I've got some general objectives for the program, and they are, by the end of the day, you'll have a plain English understanding of employer and employee legal issues. You'll understand management strategies that generally keep your company out of trouble, and you'll understand the logic behind smart personnel practices. Managers and supervisors and the company representatives are the company in the eyes of the employee. And because you are the company, what you say or do can be interpreted as policy, and what you say or do can impact your business. Now, as we move forward in time, by about 1877, we have a situation where the Industrial Revolution is beginning to take off in earnest in this country. And with that, we have people moving from the farms to the cities in droves, and we have the establishment of the factory system. And with that, we have more people working under one roof than ever before. We need now to take a fresh look at this employer-employee relationship. And to fill the gap, there was a legal theorist by the name of Horace Wood who wrote a treatise on master and servant. Note the language, note the thinking at the time. A treatise on master and servant. And in it, he defined something called employment at will. This was the idea that you could hire or fire somebody for any reason at any time. You could hire or fire somebody for a good reason, a bad reason, or no reason at all, and an employee could leave a company for those same reasons. Now, it took 30 years and a Supreme Court case out in San Francisco in 1908 to become the guiding doctrine in employer-employee relationships. But since that time, employers have viewed themselves as employers at will. And what I want to talk about specifically is employment at will. Now, this is the idea that the employer can hire or fire someone for a good reason, a bad reason, or no reason at all. Now, that's still true as long as the employer does not violate one of 7 exceptions to employment at will. And let's talk about those. And 100 years later, the nation was moved. And 1 year later, President Johnson signed into law something called Title VII, or the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as a living monument to the then dead president, John F. Kennedy. Now, as originally conceived, Title VII would create 4 protected classes of people. That is, classes of people that were protected from discrimination in the employment arena, those classes being race, color, national origin, and religion. How many of you have bosses that know exactly what you do? Show of hands. Anybody here? So we got 2 or 3 people. And for everybody else, if your boss doesn't know what you do, what happens if you leave? You've got a whole lot of knowledge in terms of internal processes, in terms of relationships, in terms of how things that should be done that aren't even documented. And those go out the door. Now that idea of this asset that's not quantified in any way, that can quickly leave, is problematic. Because in corporate America, what you have is a phenomenon where there's a whole lot of companies that say employees are our most valued asset until the economy goes south and now they're a variable cost. But if you treat them like a variable cost, then what goes out the door? So the idea that we have to manage this comes into our consciousness. The level beyond this is HR needs to be transformative within our organizations. Meaning that if you look at one of the great problems in our business today, it is the intelligent use of human resources and the intelligent use of technology. If technology is used poorly, it can make us inefficient that much faster. And it can consume our lives, and if we manage by the numbers, we can unwittingly undermine our standards if we're not careful.